I just want to make a full disclaimer. I'm really sorry about the noise you can hear in the background throughout these videos. I am in the UK and I struggle immensely with heat. I am very sensitive to it, so I permanently have a fan on because our houses just don't have air conditioning in, or majority of them don't. So I'm really sorry for the constant buzzing you can hear in the background. For any of you wondering, that's what that is. I also just want to correct something. I said someone was born in the 1960s. He wasn't born in the 1960s. I don't think he was born in the 1940s. I cannot specifically remember when he was born. I do know he mentions it. But yeah, earliest were in the 1940s, and that's his earliest memories. I just want to correct that so we're not spreading any misinformation, and I'll see you in the video. Okay, so the reasons I wanted to discuss this book is one, I cannot find a single thing about it on YouTube, which means prime real estate. But two, no one's talking about this book. How is no one talking about this book? It's literally like, I understand that we've just had Pride Month. We've also had Disability Pride Month. We've also had we've had a lot of celebrations for a lot of months, but no one's talking about this one. And I've just gone to the Amazon page. If I just get back up here, 1 second, because I'm leaning this on my laptop. Oh, hi. It's got 3 reviews, and then when I go onto Goodreads, So yeah, on Goodreads, there are 4 reviews, one of them being mine. I didn't get mine from Amazon. As I mentioned, I got my copy from an independent bookshop in Carlisle when I was visiting. They had quite a few copies of these available, and I was like, £9.99 is not a lot of money, considering it's like 2 coffees. And I gotta keep it afterwards. What could go wrong? But this is a self-published book, and it's about a gay man who was born in the 1960s and grew up in the farming community. He had a lot of so Stan, the author, had a couple of difficulties with coming out, like anyone and everyone, unfortunately, and he ended up working. Well, you just have to give me a minute. My brain's not working. My brain doesn't work a lot. It's okay. He grew up in a in a farm, and this was during. So he was raised. He worked in a hospital for some time. He talks about how he volunteered in the HIV services, and his struggles with the criminal justice system. A lot of people like to streamroll that stuff like this never happened and that it's not happening today, but I cannot stress enough that we need to be made aware of stuff like this that has happened, because those who do not accept or acknowledge history are doomed to repeat it. And it's a bit scary in some parts as well, especially hearing how this is someone's lived experience and how they had to go through that. But I know I'm making it sound like it's a really bad, sad story, but it's also supposed to be uplifting, which I personally, as someone who does struggle, as someone who believes, I did find this really heartwarming to hear that there are people who did find acceptance in coming out, because I've not necessarily had the same experience. There are a lot of Christians who do not acknowledge or accept or appreciate gay people. So having a short book and having the wisdom of someone older than me was really heartwarming. But on top of that, it's also about, I've got to be careful with what I say, because it does say in the beginning, I don't want to spoil the book entirely, but also in the beginning, you can't, it says something, where is it? All rights reserved, no part of this publication may be reproduced, stored, or introduced, copyright and all that. But I think this is a very important book because it documents someone who not only lived through the AIDS crisis, that's what I'm going to call it, but also volunteered and helped other people who were struggling through that time. It documents his life in a rural area growing up, what that was like, and I just feel like we don't hear about a lot of those stories enough. I feel like the most part the representation we get is through celebrities, and it's not always a realistic one. I think having the representation of someone who isn't like world famous is so important on a day-to-day level, because there's a lot of fake news, there's a lot of AI generated stuff, so to have something that's not only real but is on the surface level, could be someone that who's experienced, who like any of us could know. I just think that's what makes this book so much more important. While we don't know him personally, this book is him being open about his experiences, and his struggle with his sexuality, and his religion, and how that impacted him. I like how he discusses about finding a husband. If you give me a second. I'm back. But this is a book that I talk about a lot on the channel. I'm just gonna put my headphones on because it makes me feel better. Hold on. Right, there we go. But this is a book I talk about a lot because I am slowly working my way through it. To me, as a trans gay man, it is very important to have representation, but it's also very important to understand how men have historically been treated, as well as the struggles that other men have, and as well as the cultural differences. This is my Bible on how to be a better husband. I'm not a husband yet. I would like to be someone's husband one day, and this book is something that helps me. I go back to this a lot. I'll read like 10 or so pages, I'll highlight a ton of stuff, I'll make notes on it, and I'm like basically trying to train myself, because I didn't have a dad. I mean, I did, everyone has a dad obviously, but my dad still is homophobic, transphobic, just didn't want anything to. He wanted something to do with me to keep tabs on my mum, which is a very weird position to be in as a child. But I cut him off after he was straight up like, gays are disgusting, transgenders are disgusting, all that jazz, and I'm like, that's fine. I don't need you in my life. I will figure it out on my own. I mean, it's not like my dad was present in the first place anyway. Before I came out of the closet, but having a book that having books that people share their experiences and talk about, what like difficulties that some men have. I feel like my experience as a trans person has also been that a lot of men can't necessarily be open and talk about a lot of things that necessarily impact them. So this is why I hold fast to my books and find them so important. But you do have to be careful with the ones that you read, because not just because it's been print doesn't mean it's good. But I especially find when I'm reading books and stories from people who I like the ones where people aren't necessarily calling themselves elder gays. They just acknowledge that it was something like, they acknowledge the history, they talk about the things that they went through, and that's what it is. I find those books to be the most important, because I feel like you can connect with them and their stories and their struggles, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this book. And again, I'm trying to be very careful because there's not that much in here. It is 100 pages. This is one of the shortest books I've read, but I cannot recommend this enough. If you are part of the LGBTQ community, I understand $9.99 might be a lot for. I don't know if you have to pay postage if you're on Amazon. If you're getting it from Amazon, I imagine a lot of you will be getting it from Amazon. Please give this book a chance, and please leave a review for it. I'm glad I supported an independent bookshop, because it means good old Amazon isn't going to get a portion of it. But it's just, we don't really see books like this being advertised, if you know what I mean. We don't hear as often as I would like us to, or would like to see in the book community, about people's raw, independent, and it's a small book, so I understand that people would want more for the money, but this, I cannot state enough how important a book like this is. And if Steve Blacklock ever sees this video, I just want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for for creating this book, because there are enough books out there like this. Small books, you know, they're nice, they're good, but the way that he touches on his family history, the way that he is open and sharing pictures from his, you know, his story, he shares pictures, you know, of the people he knew, people he were close with. He shared like his struggle with his own religion. Like, a lot of people think I'm being funny when I say I'm religious. I don't stand by any religion specifically because of trauma, but I do believe in the God. But I, like, as a individual, I've always preferred to date atheists, because in my experience, I've yet to meet an atheist, or date an atheist, should I say, who will tell me being gay is a sin. They simply don't. They don't shove their religion down your throat. The thing is, atheists have always been willing and open to hear me talk about God and my beliefs. Christians, not so much. And it was nice to see that someone had difficulty with their sexuality. It was painful to see that they've had that struggle, but to know that you're not alone in that struggle, that you are who you are. I just cannot rate this book high enough. In terms of how it is wrote, I will say that if it was for anything other than what I personally read it for, I probably would have only rated this 3, because I would, unless it's something that is, it's a very specific niche market, I understand. Like, not everyone's going to go out and pick up this book, but I cannot, we need this book. We need people to come forward about their stories. We need more people talking about it. Now, obviously, we can't force people to come out. I don't want anyone being forced out the closet. I don't want anyone, like, feeling like they have to talk about their experiences. But so often do these voices get marginalised, especially gay Christians. Like, there's so many people, like, people think I'm talking out my backside when I say that you can't be gay and Christian, because all the times have changed. They like to steamroll and pretend stuff like this does not happen, and didn't happen, and still doesn't happen, which is part of the reason why I am like, this book, because to me this is proof that it does happen. To me, this is someone coming forward about their story, sharing it, but also talking about the love and how they strengthened their faith. And I love this book. Like, if I follow him on Goodreads, so that hopefully if he ever releases any more books, I'll be there. I want to read more by this author. But it's just, erasure isn't just when the government decides to take things off of Stonewall. Erasure isn't just when people are saying, there's so much erasure in so many different ways. Erasure is when people are saying that stuff can't have happened and doesn't happen anymore. It's books, literature especially, are really important, because we are unfortunately living in a time where, yes, there's more acceptance than there used to be, and we don't have anything like Clause 28, but there may well come a time in the future where something like that could be reintroduced, and I just think it's very important that we discuss that and we could be aware of that. And it is very scary, but on top of that, I think it's very important that we let people talk about their experiences, and that we acknowledge what's happened in the past, and that we acknowledge other people's struggles. I know we live in a very patriarchal world, but sometimes people forget that men also experience extreme trauma, and I wouldn't say it's extreme trauma. I don't know how personally Steve took it. He is an inspirational guy to me. Like, I hope I can have a happy relationship someday the way he did. And I know I'm bambling now, but we need books like this to exist. We need literature like this to exist, because so many people are saying, and it might not be true for a lot of people in their reality, but for so many, and so many of us don't want to speak up, it is their reality. Like, the number of people who are in the LGBTQ community that have no fucking idea, pardon my language, I have no idea what Clause 28 is, that's embarrassing. How has Pride grown so big and so many people don't know what Clause 28 is? How has Pride gone so big and people don't know what the pink triangle represented back in, like, two truths can be the same at once, and I just feel like we've lost our way in understanding and talking and discussing about why these stories are so important. So I know the main purpose of this video is to talk about I Knew I'd Done Nothing Wrong, because this book does bring me peace of mind. But I am also going to recommend Until I Meet My Husband. The thing is, I haven't read this, so I can't really talk about that too much, but this one, just, if you can spare $9.99, please get it. Please review it. Honestly, no one's talking about it, and I don't know why. It's a short one. Usually in my experience, the short ones are the ones people talk about, but it's so important for men to use their voices to speak up about the historical side of things. For the most part, it's the trans women or it is lesbians. I don't see a lot about men publishing their stories. I want to see more stuff about men sharing their stories, and I want to see more people talking about men's stories. And I understand why. I understand we do live in a patriarchal society, but it's different for men. There are some experiences which are specific to men, and I feel like this book captures some of them. Like, it's the same thing but different, you know? Like, it's a heartbreaking, it was so crushing, but this is also a really heartwarming book that I still go back to. I still occasionally pick up, I'll flick through the pages, I'll look at the photographs, I'll read through his life story. I find a lot of comfort in this as a trans gay man. Now, neither of these men are trans, they're both cis, but I just think stories like this are so important, especially when I can see that's the way that the world is reacting at the moment. We are seeing a backpedal of LGBTQ rights, and I just think that, especially in this moment, stories like this are so important. They are so important, and I just hope that if anyone takes anything from this video, even if you don't go out and pick up this book, I hope you go and you will read more into things like Clause 28, the AIDS and HIV crisis, how it is treated, how the victims of those unfortunate events and people to this day still get mistreated, because people like to gloss over the fact, pretend that, oh, it's not that bad. There are still people who experience some of the things that Steve and his partner experienced in this book, and that is the reality. That is the reality. I know we're all trying to be positive, and it's very difficult with a lot of the things in the world right now, but just having an awareness that it could very well become reality again, even if that's the only thing people take away from this video, that would make me happy. And Steve Blacklock, if you ever see this video, just thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you so much for creating this book. Thank you so much for talking about how you grew up and being open and honest about your difficulties as a gay Christian man. There are not enough books out there. Usually when I hear about gay Christians, it is how they suppress themselves. Let that sink in. There is no shortage of books about how they suppress themselves and how turn into God. I don't agree with that. Like, at the end of the day, to me as a Christian, even though I'm not sure, I don't abide by like a singular Christian belief, and by that I mean there's so many branches of Christianity I don't even know where to begin. I just want to say this book meant the world to me, its publication, its existence, and I am never going to stop recommending this to people. Just because it's short and sweet. I know a lot of people struggle with reading and they don't want to read something as thick as this. Like, and I wasn't joking when I said this one's like my Bible. I am highlighting pages, absolute pages. They can't erasers. Be heard, be seen, but also if it is not safe to do so. Like the Bible also recommends staying meek, quiet, and keeping safe. Do what you need to do, but if you can and you do have the opportunity to read this book, then please do. See you in the next one.